Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really ripping the cover off something huge, burnout. We're diving into your sources, which give this incredibly detailed picture of chronic work stress. But they all seem to point towards one big idea, right?
Yeah.
That burnout often isn't just about long hours. It's a crisis of meaning.
That's a really vital point to start with
Yeah.
because, we're not just talking about feeling tired or being a bit overworked.
Right.
The World Health Organization, they've actually included burnout in the ICD-11, and they defined it very specifically
Okay.
as a syndrome from chronic workplace stress. Crucially, stress that hasn't been managed well. And importantly, it's only in the occupational context.
So strictly work-related.
Exactly. It's a diagnosed psychosocial hazard.
Yeah.
A big deal.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Our mission today is to get that clinical picture clear, figure out why this lack of meaning fuels the fire, and then, look at what can actually be done, structurally and personally.
And it couldn't be more relevant right now, could it? For you, listening.
Yeah.
The sources really highlight the psychological toll of the last few years.
Yeah.
Huge strain on healthcare, on teachers, the challenges of full-time remote work, and even something the sources call parental burnout. It's like we're all feeling this massive weight of modern expectations.
So let's get down to the brass tacks then. What is burnout, fundamentally?
Okay, so it's defined as an individual's response, but to chronic work stress. Think of it like progressive wear and tear.
Right.
It damages you cognitively, emotionally, attitudinally. But the absolute key thing from the research is this. It's a consequence of the work itself, the job's characteristics.
So it's not a personal failing.
Emphatically not.
Yeah.
It's not a deficiency in the employee. That's a critical distinction.
That is huge. Work consequence versus personal fault. Okay. So your sources mention a core model, sort of breaking down the stress response into 3 pillars. What does that actually look like when the stress really takes hold?
Yeah, the foundational model, Maslach and Jackson's originally, lays out 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
The first one, and often kind of the starting point, is emotional exhaustion.
Okay.
That's that core feeling of just being worn out, fatigued, like you just don't have the emotional energy left for the job's demands.
Right. And once that energy's gone,
Yeah.
what's the impact on how you interact with people, the interpersonal side?
Well, that's where the second dimension tends to kick in. Cynicism, or sometimes called depersonalization.
Yeah, right.
It's that psychological detachment. You become indifferent, maybe develop these really negative attitudes,
Yeah.
often towards clients, patients, or even your colleagues. It's like a protective shield, but a really unhelpful one.
A defense mechanism. Almost.
Exactly, an active avoidance mechanism.
So it's this downward spiral.
Yeah.
You're drained, then you detach. And the third pillar.
The third is reduced personal achievement or efficacy. This is where you start to evaluate yourself negatively professionally.
Like feeling incompetent.
Yeah, feeling incompetent, having serious doubts about whether you can actually do the job effectively anymore. And longitudinal studies do suggest a causal order here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, high emotional exhaustion often seems to lead to the cynicism and detachment later on.
Wow, okay. A real trifecta of negativity then. Exhaustion, detachment, and feeling useless. But, if stress is the cause, why does it seem to manifest differently? Some people seem to burn out in this, blaze of frantic activity, while others just fade away. Doesn't look the same on everyone, does it?
That's a great observation, and that's where the idea of subtypes comes in.
Yeah.
Montero Marin's framework suggests 3 variations, depending on how the person kind of engages with the stress.
Okay.
First, there's the frenetic subtype. Think of these as the high-achieving martyrs.
Right, the workaholics.
Exactly. Excessive dedication, super involved. They ditch their personal life chasing achievements until they just collapse from the overload.
We all know that profile, but the next one you mentioned, the under-challenged subtype, that sounds like the total opposite. Burnout from boredom.
Precisely. You see this in really monotonous, unstimulating jobs.
Yeah.
Routine tasks, no satisfaction, no room for growth. So these workers feel indifference, boredom. They develop this sort of escapist way of coping. They're not overloaded, they're underengaged. Utterly different dynamic.
Fascinating. And the last one, the most advanced stage, the worn-out subtype.
Yeah, this one's characterized by hopelessness, a real lack of control over results, and just profound neglect.
So they've kind of given up.
Pretty much. They show the least dedication, use really passive coping strategies, and that feeds right back into that strong sense of incompetence we talked about. Knowing which type you're seeing frenetic, under-challenged, or worn out is really key for figuring out how to help.
Okay, that makes sense. And since we established this isn't about personal failure, let's zoom in on the actual organizational triggers, the job demands that are really driving this.
The evidence is, frankly, overwhelming. The causes are largely situational, tied to the job environment.
Like what specifically?
Well, the most obvious is just sheer work overload, too much to do, or work that's too complex, quantitatively or qualitatively.
Sure.
But often, what's even more psychologically taxing is emotional labor.
The service with a smile thing.
Exactly, that constant cost of managing your feelings, hiding negative emotions, or faking emotions you don't actually feel, like forced sympathy.
Ugh. That constant performance, it must be incredibly draining. We've all had days like that plastering on a smile. How bad is that long term?
It's highly toxic. And it connects to the bigger picture, Other major triggers include a serious lack of autonomy or influence.
Not having control over your own work.
Right, also role ambiguity or conflict, like not being sure what's expected of you or getting conflicting demands.
Yeah.
And then, of course, just plain bad working hours. Things like excessive shift work, night shifts, constant long overtime, all major risk factors.
Okay, so the fire is this chronic organizational stress. But the usual advice is often just, take a break, get better work-life balance. Your sources seem to argue the real solution isn't just about time off, is it? It's deeper. It's about the why.
That distinction is absolutely profound. Our modern obsession with just salary or status, it completely misses this core human need for meaning.
Right.
You mentioned Viktor Frankl earlier. His work in the concentration camps showed that people who had a why, a reason to live, could endure almost anything. Purpose acts like a psychological anchor.
And we feel that lack of purpose so acutely now, don't we? Like the Sunday Scaries?
Exactly. The Sunday Scaries is not just dreading a tough meeting. It's often a symptom of that deeper void, that feeling of, what's the point of going back to this?
Yeah.
We need that reason to engage. And interestingly, there's a biological basis for this.
Oh, the brain chemistry.
Absolutely. Finding purpose, feeling like you're contributing to something bigger than yourself. That actually releases positive neurochemicals.
Like dopamine.
Dopamine, yes, but also serotonin, oxytocin. These foster feelings of well-being, connection, satisfaction. When the why disappears, that positive feedback loop breaks down, and that's fertile ground for burnout.
So this completely reframes the whole work-life balance conversation.
It really does.
If the work itself feels meaningless, then balancing it just means you're dedicating, half your life to emptiness?
Precisely. The goal shouldn't just be balance. It should be work-life meaning. Think about it. Someone working just 4 hours a day in a job they find pointless can feel utterly depleted. But someone else might happily work 10 hours if they genuinely believe they're building something important, making a difference. They're sustained by that purpose.
So burnout, in that sense, is almost like spiritual exhaustion.
That's a great way to put it. It's the loss of that essential why.
Okay, so if meaning is the antidote, how do we actually cultivate it, make it tangible? Your sources talk about 3 core pillars for meaningful work.
Yes, they lay out a pretty clear framework. The first pillar is purpose. This is about knowing who your work serves and what ultimate value it creates. Even seemingly small roles can have huge purpose. Remember that story about the NASA janitor?
Yeah, that was powerful.
That's what he did. He said, I helped put humans on the moon. That's purpose.
Incredible. What's the second pillar?
The second is mastery. This is about feeling like you're developing, learning, progressing.
Getting better at what you do.
Exactly. That intrinsic satisfaction of improving, even if it's just, 1% better each day. Work that allows for growth inherently fosters meaning.
Makes sense. And the third pillar?
The third is connection, meaning rarely happens in isolation. Connection means working in an environment where you feel respected, supported, part of a team working towards shared goals. Being valued adds weight and significance to your individual effort.
What's really striking is how these 3 purpose, mastery, connection seem to directly counteract the 3 dimensions of burnout we discussed.
How so?
Well, mastery fights that feeling of reduced efficacy, right? Connection fights the cynicism and detachment by rooting you in a community. And purpose that tackles the root cause, the lack of why, that leads to exhaustion.
That's a fantastic synthesis. It shows exactly where interventions need to aim. And it links back to that perspective shift you mentioned, like with the NASA example.
Right, moving from seeing work as I have to do this, which is obligation fueled by stress, to I get to do this, seeing it as an opportunity powered by that sense of purpose.
And that completely redefines what professional success even means. It suggests we shouldn't measure it just by income or title.
But by what?
One source puts it beautifully. Success is measured by the depth of inner peace in the mind of each person.
Wow, that's profound. And that leads us right into interventions. The critical point seems to be that we often focus on fixing the individual, teach them mindfulness, resilience.
Right. Yoga classes and wellness apps.
Yeah. But the main causes are actually organizational, aren't they? The workload, the lack of control.
Absolutely. And that's why primary prevention has to be organization-driven. We're talking structural changes.
Like what kind of changes?
Things like work redesign. Actively looking at jobs to eliminate unnecessary stressors, or enriching them with more stimulating, meaningful tasks.
Okay.
It also means seriously investing in leadership development, training managers in, say, authentic or servant leadership styles. Because good supervisor support is consistently identified as a massive protective resource.
And rewards. They don't always have to be financial, right?
Definitely not. Non-financial rewards are huge. Simple recognition for achievements, offering more flexibility with time. These things matter. You see big companies like Deloitte trying to embed this, talking about making an impact that matters as part of their core purpose.
So that's the top-down approach. But individuals aren't just passive victims, are they? What about bottom-up strategies, things we can do?
No, individuals have agency too. One of the most powerful bottom-up strategies discussed is job crafting.
Job crafting, what's that exactly?
It's where employees proactively tweak their own jobs. They modify tasks, roles, relationships, or even just their perception of the job to better align it with their skills, values, and needs.
So you reshape the job from within.
Kind of. It could mean finding ways to reduce demands that drain you, or maybe increasing social resources, like actively seeking feedback or support.
Or seeking out challenges.
Exactly. Increasing challenging demands like volunteering for interesting projects that help you grow and feel that sense of mastery we talked about.
So you're actively creating more meaning and efficacy for yourself, even if the official job description stays the same. That's empowering. And of course, there are the more classic individual tools too.
Yes, definitely. Consistent mindfulness practice and regular physical exercise are well-documented, evidence-based ways to reduce existing burnout symptoms. They work.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, the core message seems really clear. Burnout isn't just being tired. It's often this spiritual exhaustion, a crisis of purpose, fundamentally driven by chronic organizational stress and often systemic failures in how work is structured.
And the cost isn't just individual suffering. It's massive for organizations too. Low performance, high turnover, serious long-term health risks, like increased type 2 diabetes, chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yeah.
It can even drive counterproductive behaviors, things like absenteeism or even workplace theft in extreme cases. Organizations must start treating employee well-being not as a perk, but as a critical key performance indicator, something to be monitored constantly.
Yeah. And your sources leave us with a really potent final thought, especially looking ahead, with AI and automation becoming more prevalent.
Right. If robots could do tasks faster, more accurately, what's left for us? What's our unique human advantage?
Meaning.
Exactly, meaning. Robots process data. They can't find purpose. Our edge, and frankly our path to real fulfillment, lies in consciously choosing to engage in meaningful work that goes beyond just function.
So, the final question for you listening isn't just how much did I earn today? Perhaps it should be, what lasting meaning did I leave behind?